Hey everybody. So today we're going to look at the Bimbeats snapshot tool. And so what this does is it pushes parameter information into Elastic so that we can use it for visualizations or to review certain things. This video is going to be a little bit different as I won't necessarily show you like a bunch of different workflows or a certain thing, but I want to talk about a few things, and then if you guys have like ideas or recommendations on how to leverage this data, I would love to know. And then I could even make a part two and mention those as well. So feel free to post below anything that you find out, or if you think that there's cool ways to use this data. So there's a Bimbeats tab up here, and we've got register snapshot, change trend options, and snapshot. So the first thing you have to do when you start a project is click register snapshot. And then after that, you can click snapshot, and that will push the data up into Elastic for you to then visualize in Kibana. There are a couple options you can mess around with. I would typically keep this as off. So on, what that will do is it'll push the data up into Elastic, and then the next day when you push another snapshot, it will push another and another and so on, tracking all of those snapshots. Now if you turn this off, when you push that snapshot up there the next day, it will just overwrite it. And so by setting it to trending, if you wanted to track things over time, that would make more sense. So if there's certain parameters you want to track over time, that's where trending would make sense. But if you're just tracking parameter values, then maybe just having it off and just pushing it up there to overwrite the original would be fine. So it depends on your workflow, but it's something to keep in mind. But also there's a time factor, so even if you are posting it like weekly, you could always filter down to the latest week, which will only show you that data. So, like I said, this is kind of informal, kind of an investigation type video where I'm just trying to figure out workflows and then just talking through some of them. And a few things or a couple things that I've thought of. One of them is like shared parameters. Is there a way where we can track duplicate shared parameters? Not a huge use case behind that. I just don't see that happening very often. If you guys do see that, then I'll show that in a future video. But you can push that information up there and see it. You can see the parameter ID and then quickly validate if that's the parameter, the latest shared parameter, or the one that isn't from your file. Maybe it's from a family or something. So another workflow is like Kobe or like facility management verification stuff. So here I've got two families. Now they've got a project parameter associated with them that's called this needs to have a value, and then this one has the value, which is just called my value, and then this one over here doesn't. Now I get it. I think you could use tools like CTC that can help with processes like this when it comes to validating certain parameters or filling a bunch of them in, or you could set up a schedule, or you could use Dynamo or even Clarity to help support this workflow. But maybe where Elastic and Bimbeats can be handy is to visualize this data holistically to understand a variety of information all at once. Maybe you mention that in a weekly Teams meeting, or you show that visualization in that moment, or maybe it's a PM that's leveraging this information to know that things are moving in the right direction to hit a certain deadline or whatever. So I think this is a cool workflow if we can track this information and then see it, and then visualize it that way. So to do that, we just push the data up there, and then Here's Elastic. I've got it set to the Revit snapshot index, and then I've got it filtered. So I'm going to turn this filter off, and then this is the family name, or not the family name, but the parameter name that we want to track and validate that it's got a value in it. And so you can see just with that search, we're getting a lot of just random stuff. And it's because that project parameter is associated with all generic models. And so what we can do is search for that. And then I've got a couple columns up here so that I can quickly kind of see all this information all at once. Because typically it just shows you the date, and then you have to expand the document to view more. Now, to add those columns, all you have to do is find the important ones for you, and then just come over here and click that column button, and then it'll add the new column. So you can see that over there. I'm going to remove that one. And so that's how you create this view. So by default, it doesn't look like this with these nice columns. And the cool thing is you can take this and save it, which I'll show you in a minute after we filter it. So we've got a bunch of stuff. We only care about this family here. So what we can do is just filter for that. So over here we can see the filter, so element.family, and then it just says that it equals family 1. And then that now gives us our families. And then we could even filter it further and just include this one. So if we just want to get the families that have no value in it, then we can quickly see that as well. So in this case, there's only 2, but maybe you have a ton, then you can filter down to this that way. So pretty easy. And then I've got 2 element IDs. So one's for the type, and then one is for the actual element. So it says parameter.element ID. So that's the element that's associated to that parameter. So the parameter that's associated to, or sorry, the element that has that parameter. And so what we can do is do copy. And this workflow reminds me of like the Navisworks workflow. If you were to not have, if you were to use BIM 360, the switchback function didn't work. And so you would have to click on an element and then do, and then copy the element ID, paste that in to Revit, and then search for it that way, and then resolve that clash. So that's what this workflow kind of reminds me as. That's why I think it would be better to do a schedule or use Dynamo or something else to make that more effective. And that's why I think maybe like if you created a visual for a project manager or something that you were just bringing up in a weekly meeting, to say, hey, this is where we're at on these certain things with these certain parameters. Here's we're moving in the right direction to hit our deadlines. Because maybe you've set the trending on so you can see that you've been progressing over time to meet the goals of Kobe or whatever it is. So that's why I think it's like at a more high level you could leverage a tool like this, or I'm sorry, in this data. Because I think a lot of the other indexes are incredibly valuable. I've yet to find a really good use case for this, and that's why I think that use case could possibly be beneficial. So now that we have our filter set up, say this is a common, filter or value that we're searching for, and these are common filters, then what we can do is save this. And then also for this project, we would want to save this, especially if we want to bring this into a visual. So over here, what we can do is click save, and this will create a saved search. And then we can just call this FM family, FM for just facility management, and then family 1, because we're tracking that one. And so we save that search. Now we can add searches to visualizations later on. or not. We can add searches and filters to visualization so that we don't have to set up a save search. But I find this to be a lot easier because what we can do is, and if you don't follow, is if we jump over here and I go to a dashboard and we create a new visual. And let's go down here. And then let's just do a table. What we can do is search our saved search set. Oops. Sorry, wrong name. Okay. So we can grab it here instead of using the index. So the typical way that you can do it is you can just create a visual. So in this case, we're creating a table. You can create a visual that looks at a certain index. And then you can filter and search inside of that, just like what we're doing here, or that we already did in our save search. What I like about this is I think it loads your visuals faster because we have the save search. So right off the bat, you can see in our table we just have one. Now what we can do is come down here and actually, what I like to do a lot of times is have a few tabs open, just so, especially if I'm trying to like figure out the relationship between different values, is I'll have a couple tabs open so that I can kind of see what's going on. You know, I'll have it across multiple screens as well. So like in this case, in that table, we may want to just see like the family name. And then we'll probably want to see the property value. So back over here, what we can do is create a bucket. We'll do split row. Our aggregation type will be terms. And then, so not family one, sorry, that's the wrong. We need the element.family. So element.family. And I set this at a higher number. I mean, in this case, it doesn't matter. There's only one. But if I click update, you can see now we have that family one over there. And so we can also do another split row and then do the property value string, which we'll just copy that, jump over here. Oops. So I went in there and paused it for a minute, and then I realized it was a pretty simple fix. So it's just if we turn, so I turned off this split rows here, and what I can do is turn that back on, and if we update it, you'll see that it goes away. Pretty obvious. You just show missing values. So the fact that that was missing, and you can see there that it says missing, and you can change that to whatever you want. But in this table, you could show all your different missing families all at once. And then for the last bucket, you could add, so we'll do split row, and then for the last one, we'll do the element ID. So this one right here. And so now we've got our element ID, and then this count over here is just the count of documents that is in the project. So in this case, it should only be one, unless you're tracking, if you have multiple snapshots over time, then that document may be more than one. So then from here, we can just, copy that into to Revit and then find it out. But again, this isn't just like the Discover tab. That's probably not where your PM's going to be. They're probably going to be in a dashboard. And so what we can do, now that we have this table set up, is we can come in over here, save and return. And this is just one visual, but you can add as many as you want to this dashboard, and then this is what you could potentially present to in a Teams meeting to say, hey, we're going in the right direction. There's a Navisworks dashboard that I want to show you at some point that kind of works in that way. So it shows you a variety of data, but one of the things is that it'll show over time that you're moving in the direction where you want to be. So you have a goal of this many clashes, so over the last 3 months, you've been dropping, 100 or so. And so that may be something that you would bring up in a PM's meeting. Just like in this example, you may just want to highlight, hey, this is how many empty families or how many things that aren't being verified. They don't have the proper information yet. So another one is like area information. So you can track area parameters or room parameters over time, and then see how that grows or changes, or if there's certain things you don't want to go over. So this tool's a bit different, or the data behind it is a bit different than like the log stuff that we've looked at in the past, and that I primarily use. But I still think it's kind of interesting, and I would love to know if you guys have any feedback or ideas on how to use that kind of information. So again, it's just a ton of parameter data, just all the different parameters in the project, all being pushed up there. And so anyways, that's all I've got. Kind of a quick video, or not really a quick video, but just kind of a, informal investigation type video, a bit different, kind of interesting, but anyways, let me know what you think, and thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.